A little over a week ago, I made a video about embedded streams and how I believed that it was harming the entire ethos of Twitch, be it from the platform side all the way down through the creators and even the brands that were advertising on streams that were heavily embedded. If you want more information about that, I would suggest going back and checking out that video. It lays down a whole lot of groundwork for this one. This video is going to go into the unanswered questions. What about ad revenue? Does that pay based on those views? What about agency side of things? When a brand goes to market themselves, are they being burned by these embedded views without asking those questions? Are brands doing that kind of due diligence? Let me tell you that the responses that I got from asking these questions and actually getting into this and finding out are extremely disappointing. Not only that, but I decided that I was going to embed my own stream and find out those answers for myself. In addition, the stuff that I had been saying about websites like Fextra Life are so much worse than I originally had anticipated, and it seems as though there's an awful lot of people being burned and they don't even know they're being burned. Oh man, where do I even begin? I embedded my stream. I guess we'll start there. The story begins with an idea that I had in my head because I couldn't get a straight answer as to whether or not ad revenue was actually being paid off of embedded views. The people that were doing the embedding were saying that they weren't being paid ad revenue. And in the past, I have copies of information from different sources where people were saying that embeds absolutely were paying ad revenue, or at least that was the assumption from people that they had talked to a while back. Now, some of the information I have is a year plus old, but it was good information because the sources of information that were relaying this back to various different sources were all kind of saying the same thing. But it seems as though when I embedded my own stream, and just so that everybody's on the same page, I'm not embedding it anymore. It was embedded for 5 days on 2 different Tarkov-related websites, Tarkov-changes.com and goontracker.com, run by Logical Solutions and AvidGamer15 respectively. Go give those guys some props. Thank you guys very much for helping me out. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being such good friends. I have statistics where we embedded this on these websites, but I did it hidden because I didn't want the site to show up. My concern was that if I had shown the actual embed on these sites, if it was actually visible in the dimensions that Twitch had requested of it, that would end up causing a problem where I was getting that negative feedback onto my site, and that word would have spread and it would have looked like something that it wasn't. This was purely for an experimental means, and by no means am I trying to market myself through embeds. That is not something that I want, have never wanted, and continue to not want. But this, I felt, was the only way that I was going to get the answer. Now, statistically speaking, over the course of time that I embedded my stream, the live view count, unique viewers, and this is something where I can't tell what my concurrent viewership was modified by, so I have to take some kind of wild guess just based on my own experience. Those views accounted for about 39% of my total views over the course of the time that I did that. So I had 16,000 or so embedded views on a viewership of about 42,000 unique visits. So if you want to consider it based on live views, if this were a YouTube video, it would be a video that got 42,000 views from sets of eyeballs, but 16,000 of those sets of eyeballs didn't know that they were watching me. And like I said, unfortunately, there's no way to know whether or not I had a boost in concurrent viewership that was super high. What I can tell you is that it wasn't significantly different, and I've had varies in viewership since Dark and Darker went live that's been relatively large. I normally average, since Dark and Darker went live, somewhere around 300 to 350 concurrent viewers. I've had days where we've been kind of like in the waiting room for patches where that viewership has jumped up to 1,100. The day that Dark and Darker decided to launch, my viewership was 8,000, and all of those were natural. That wasn't during any type of embedded period. But I tried to pick a period of time where it seemed like there had been a bit of a lull, where things had kind of leveled off, and I wanted to boost that viewership by a little bit just to see what the ad revenue was like. And there are results here that are shocking, by the way. Shocking. Because you can game this. And I believe that there are channels that are doing this. So between the two sites, on a site like Goon Tracker, I figured that I was seeing somewhere around 50 to 75 additional concurrent viewers. Not a huge, massive, significant boost, but a boost of probably somewhere around 10 to 15, maybe even 20%, depending on the time of day. But the point of this wasn't necessarily to focus on that. The point of this was to focus on ad revenue. I have some statistics that I'm going to show you on the screen, and I'm not going to go through all of these with a fine-tooth comb because I think it's pretty easy to tell the difference here. Basically, I took a period of time that was relatively equivalent. On one side, you can see that the viewership is less, and on the other side, you can see that it's a bit more. However, the ad revenue derived from the side that was unboosted by the additional viewership from the website was actually higher in ad revenue than the other side, which means that the boosted viewership from Goon Tracker and whatnot was not actually generating me any additional revenue. So I believe that I can put this to bed, because it seems as though my natural viewership, the higher numbers, are probably accurate. The amount of money that I had made as a result of this was just the same or higher on every single day that I didn't have my viewership boosted. Now, again, this comes with a rise in popularity over the game Dark and Darker, which still, though, shows that the ad revenue from pure, natural, actually involved viewers is going to pay better than whether or not your stream is boosted. But that is not the only thing that Twitch uses internally to pay its streamers, because the other thing that we have is the bounty board. And the bounty board is different. See, I've had spikes of viewership into the thousands in the recent month. That spike in viewership and the average concurrent viewership that I'm seeing is being curved based on whatever statistics that they're watching going back in time X number of weeks or days. The bounty board gives you an estimated payout based on those viewership numbers, and it, as far as I can tell, is not differentiating between whether there are embedded viewers or not. It's all about averages. If we look at my bounty board right now, it shows that my estimated is somewhere around 819 concurrent viewers. Now, without the embedded views, this would have been significantly less. With the embedded views, this has actually jumped up pretty significantly, to the tune of I used to see these offers for somewhere around 200 concurrent viewers, not 800. And yes, I believe that the 8,000 viewer stream probably came into play here. But even with all of that, my average viewership for the past 30 days or so is still only somewhere around 450. So this is getting skewed by potential highs that are being influenced by the embedded streams that otherwise would not have been influenced at all. In lay terms, the bounties are higher because the embedded viewership is bumping those numbers up. So at least in this regard, you can say that it's affected. It should then come as no surprise that websites like Fextralife are taking advantage of every marketing opportunity that they possibly can get. According to the people at Fextralife, they say that they're not doing anything wrong. However, if we look at Twitch terms of service, they have a very specific definition in terms of how large the view window needs to be in order for an embed to be considered viable or legal or not in violation of Twitch's terms of service. However, if we go to a website like Fextralife and we look at those embedded sizes, Fextralife doesn't meet those size requirements. The window, the embedded window on Fextralife's site is actually smaller than it's supposed to be by a pretty significant amount. But what happens if we resize the web page? Because you can open up the inspector and see the dimensions of the embedded section. If we open up the web page though and we start looking at this, what if we shrink Fextralife's web page to the mobile size? You can do that. You can just take the window and drag it over so that it shrinks up the window's size. What happens then to the embedded window? It just disappears. You can scroll the site if you have it sized to that of somewhat of a cell phone. You can scroll the site and not find it anywhere. However, if you go and look at the inspector, that is still there. The definitions are still defined. It's just that Fextralife hides the window away. So if you open up the Fextralife wiki and you start scrolling through, nowhere in this Fextralife wiki does it show an embedded stream for Fextralife anywhere. Anywhere. Nowhere. There is no embedded stream on this page anywhere, and that is by design. That mobile site can be viewed on a web browser. All you have to do is shrink the window, but the embed is still there. It's written right in the inspector. So if I sign into Fextralife, if I just go to the Fextralife webpage and start scrolling, I am a viewer of Fextralife by just having that open on my phone. And I didn't know a damn thing about it. No one did, because it's muted, but I'm still a viewer, even though there's no window there. Nice. Again, this should come as no surprise that Fextralife would use this to the best of their advantage and attempt to market themselves effectively. Anyone in this position in the past has done so. There have been many, many content creators that have benefited from this, whether they knew it or not. See, because on the agency side, the people that represent people like me, their job is to get the biggest and best deal for me that they possibly can. So I started asking around, and I went to one of the largest content creator agencies that currently exists. Unfortunately, I am not at liberty to disclose their name. They asked me to not do that. So they are going to remain anonymous for the purposes of this. However, I did ask the question, that being, has anyone on the brand side ever contacted you or talked to you about whether or not a streamer had X amount of embedded viewers as part of this marketing package that you're giving them? Meaning, are brands doing their due diligence on the brand side to ask the question about whether a channel has embedded viewers or not? The response from the head of this agency, or one of the heads of this agency, was they have never been asked that question ever. The second question that I asked was actually to the brand agency side, people that represent game devs, people that represent game launches, different large products. Has any content creator ever burned you? Have you ever been burned by the viewership statistics on channels that have large amounts of embedded viewership? The response, oh yeah, a lot. That has happened a bunch of times. We've had to filter all of them out because the brands have caught on and seen that those things do not fly. Nice. I got pushback. When I brought this up to people, I got pushback. Publicly, I mean. My own comment section on my video that I made a little over a week ago, there was pushback from people that said brands doing their due diligence would know better, but they're not doing it. I can prove that here. I was also being told that brands don't care. The amount of marketing dollars that they have applied to this only has to do with whether or not they hit certain numerics. They're just looking for numbers of eyeballs hit. Agencies don't care either. I've been able to prove that. Also false. Perhaps if it's very, very large brands like Monster Energy or Red Bull or somebody that's really, really large but has familiarity in the gaming space, perhaps those budgets are so big that they don't necessarily notice when a certain channel that averages probably 200 viewers but lists that they have 30,000 is actually taking them to the cleaners. Perhaps they don't notice, but I can guarantee you in cases of these one-off or large marketing pushes where people have $100,000 budgets and they're allocating 30,000 of that to a specific channel based on those amounts of viewership statistics, where they expect that they're going to have 15,000 sets or 10,000 sets of eyeballs on a stream for 2 hours, only to find out that those viewers are actually in the hundreds and overspent 90% of their money. I guarantee you that that hurts them. It absolutely does. That's the kind of stuff that kills game devs, and it has done that. Unfortunately, again, I cannot share specifics, but I can tell you based on things that I have seen, it absolutely has. Those streams have been harming people for years, actual years, and they are continuing to do so. And it is ruining relationships with not only the channels on Twitch, but it is also ruining relationships with Twitch at the helm. And if you don't believe me, give it a couple of months, because things are going to change. I believe they will. I unfortunately do not know what the answer is. All I can say is that certain places are taking advantage of Twitch terms of service, and the terms of service that Twitch has set out is not actively being enforced by Twitch. They're not even roping people in and making the embeds stay embeds for what they are supposed to be, to the size dimensions that they're supposed to be. They can't even enforce Fextra Life from making sure that this stuff doesn't disappear completely from the webpage, but still hold people as viewers. So for those of you that have watched this far, I have a gift for you. Logical Solutions ended up taking it upon himself to generate a couple of different extensions for both Firefox and Chrome browsers. All Chrome and Chromium browsers can benefit from this. If you're a Microsoft Edge person, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe it works for you. I believe Edge is a Chromium browser, but it doesn't matter. There's a couple of extensions that he made that will prevent any Twitch embedded streams from showing up on any web page and or counting you as a viewer completely. All you have to do is go and download it, and I will put the link in my description for you all. No, this is not an ad. He or I are not making any money as a result of it. It's just something that he decided to take upon himself, and I thought that I would extend an invitation to you all. Thank you so much for watching my video. I really hope that they will do something about it. Maybe they won't. I'm just going to stay streaming every day like I normally do at twitch.tv/onepeg. Please come by and come hang out in the dungeon, slappy duck feet and all. And if you are someone that is watching me for the first time or has not subscribed to the channel yet, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really, really does matter. Thank you to everybody that helped me. Thank you to those that answered my questions. Thank you to everybody that helped me in my research. And we'll see you in the next one, okay? Peace.